Hi, this is a quick tutorial on how to set an IP address on our switches. There are two methodologies. Both utilize the High Discovery protocol. First, we have the High Discovery standalone application, and what this application does is it will utilize a broadcast that's sent out across the network, and it will look for the MAC address of our switches, and the switches will respond back even if they don't have an IP address. So in this case, I've found the switch. From here, what I can do is I can give it an IP address that is in the same subnet as my laptop, and I can then also save this as the default, and this way any subsequent switches that I then address, it's simply a matter of clicking the set default for the IP address in the subnet. Also, because in this case the switch is not in a different subnet, I don't need to specify a gateway. What I can also do from here is I can also name the switch, and it would help if I typed it in correctly. So I can name the switch from here. Once I click on the OK, it then writes the IP address to the switch, and what is also unique about the standalone version of High Discovery is it will then also save the configuration, which means that the IP address is then permanently set within that switch. So from here I can also signal the switch. If I click on this with that switch selected, all of the LEDs on that switch will oscillate back and forth, allowing me to get a quick visual as to which switch specifically this is. This comes in particularly handy if there are multiple switches that come up on a search. So in this case, what I can do is I can then also ping that switch. This is just a quick reference, making sure that just because I can see the switch does not necessarily mean that I can talk to it. So from here, what I can then do is I can then open up a web browser, ensuring that I have the latest Java runtime environment installed. And with that, I can then open up a web browser simply by typing in this IP address, the 192.168.99.99. And again, just to verify and indicate that I can find this switch regardless of IP address, what I've just done is I've simply changed my IP address to a 10.10.10.99 address, and I can show this here. IP config, and you will see that my IP address is now a 10.10.99, and this too is if I were to close this application and start it back up again, you will notice that it will show the 10.10.10.99 address, and I will need to make sure that that is selected because the alternate is my wireless card, and obviously a wireless card is not going to be able to find this device because it is on this network right here. And again, it's finding the device even though the IP address is different and unique. So the other means of finding the switch, which is actually the preferred means because it has some added features in it, is utilizing HiView. What makes HiView unique is that HiView includes the High Discovery feature in it. And again, ensuring that the LAN card is selected, I will then do a refresh. And in this refresh, it finds the device. What's also unique and improved on HiView versus the standalone High Discovery is that this will also show the version of the software. So in this case, it's a HiOS. This is our newer chipset. It's the HiOS 3S, meaning it's a layer 3 switch, and it also shows the firmware version, which is the 6.0.01. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick ping, and something tells me that it's not going to find it. Correct, it did not find it because, again, the IP address of my laptop is a 10.99 subnet, and this is a 99.9. So what I'm going to have to do is double click on this, and we're going to change this to a 10.10.10.2, same subnet. Click on OK. And you'll notice that it's giving you an alert saying that the parameters have successfully been changed. Please save the changes on the device. So unlike the HiDiscovery standalone application, the feature within HiView does not automatically save any IP address changes or name changes on the device. And what this means is that if I were to now power cycle the device, it is going to go back to its 192.168 address. But what I'm going to now do is I've right-clicked on the device, and I'm going to add or go into the GUI and add it to devices. And what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to start up a switch management browser. This has the Java runtime environment already embedded in it. I'm going to go in with the default admin password, which is private, all lowercase, and that is going to give me read-write access to the device. And from within here you will see that it shows the device. There's a single connection. This is where I'm currently connected into. It will show the name that this device has been given. It will also show over here there's a little warning triangle. This warning triangle means that there is an unsaved change to that switch, and in our case that is the IP address that I have changed. So to ensure that this IP address is now going to be saved or converted from volatile memory, I'm now going to save it to the non-volatile memory. I will now click on the save. And as I do this, it's now taking all the saving or all the configurations that I've done, and it will save this to the non-volatile memory, and you'll notice that the warning triangle is now gone. So at this point, the configuration of the switch has been saved, as well as the IP address, and that concludes the basic setup of our switch. Hi, in this presentation we're going to talk about industrial HiVision, some basic features that it offers, where to download it from, and how to register for your free 16-node version. One of the features that makes industrial HiVision very desirable for use, especially in conjunction with our switches, is that it saves a very significant amount of time to discover the network, to see what is actually connected to the various devices. And some of the features that it offers is it will scan the network. It will identify any device that has an IP address. And with the use of the LLDP, the Link Layer Discovery Protocol, it will also determine who and what its neighbors are, and then utilizing that information, it will then map the network for you as it is physically connected. Industrial HiVision also allows for single device as well as multi-device configuration. This allows a user to very quickly commission a network, and then subsequent to that also allow for the management and monitoring of that network. Alarms can be propagated on up via email, texts, scripts can be run, exe files can be run, as well as WAV files. You can even have push notifications sent to a smartphone. And as you can see here, there are a variety of licenses for Industrial HiVision. It actually starts with 16 nodes. The 16 node is free. Then goes to 32, 64, 128, so the licensing is done in binary increments. And last but not least, there are also annual maintenance programs available for Industrial HiVision that gives a user up to a year of free upgrades per annual maintenance plan purchases. We're now going to go into the download of Industrial HiVision, where to find it, and then we're going to go ahead with the installation of Industrial HiVision and do a first scan. So there are a number of places where Industrial HiVision can be downloaded. My recommendation is that you look at the hivision.de website. And within the Industrial HiVision.de website, you'll see a download link. And if you follow that download link, you can then download Industrial HiVision 7.0 software. The software variation between the free version, the 32 version, the 256, 512, and so on, there really is no difference in the software. Where the difference is the unlock key and how many devices it will then allow you to see. So whether it's a 16 node or a million node version, all intents and purposes, the software is exactly the same. It's just as to how many nodes are unlocked with an unlock key that we will show you here in a minute. So one of the first things you then do is you go to either the Hirschman Support Center download or to the Hirschman website. If you go to the Hirschman Support Center, this is then going to take you to the Hirschman Customer Support Portal. It will then ask you either for your login credentials. If you don't already have them, simply click on Create a New Account. This is a process that will literally take you maybe a minute to do. Once you have this, go ahead and log on in. And from within our customer support portal, you also here have the ability to submit a technical ticket, a trouble ticket. You also have the ability to search our knowledge base, obviously to contact us. But what we're here for is to download some software. And within this download link, you can find everything from our firmware. This is the HiOS firmware. We then also have the firmware for our more classic switches. These are some of the RS-20s and RS-30s. The Mach switches. The HiOS would be our RSPEs, the Greyhounds, the Octopus 2, and the like. And what we're here for, though, is we are here for a tool, and this tool is Industrial HiVision. So we're going to go to the Industrial HiVision tab, and we are going to download the Industrial HiVision 7.0.03. This is the latest version for Windows. If you're running Linux, you also have the ability to download your Linux version over here. So we're going to go ahead and download this. This is the version for both 32-bit as well as 64-bit operating systems. So we have the end user license right here. We're going to go ahead and accept that. I've read this previously. And we're now going to go ahead with the download, and we will resume once this is done. So having downloaded this file, it is a zip file. We're going to go ahead and extract all these, and I'm going to extract these to a folder that I can find. I'm going to extract them to my download folder in this case. And then once it's downloaded, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run the Industrial HiVision application. So this is the exe within this folder. Now there are a couple things to note during the installation process. It's very easy to simply click on yes, okay, next, next, next. But during the installation process there are a few things that you should be mindful of. And some of these are, let me scale this window down a little bit so it will actually be included in this. So it's going to install on my computer, click next, and yes, I am okay with this license agreement and I do accept it, and I do want to install it here. And here I have the option of installing either OPC-DA or OPC-UA. I also have the ability to install the ActiveX client for this. Because the defaults will work for my needs, I'm going to go ahead with next. And you'll notice that there is going to be a WinPCAP pop-up. This is a requirement in order for Industrial HiVision to run. The overhead for WinPCAP is extremely minimal. I do recommend that you go ahead and automatically have it start up at boot time, at which point Industrial HiVision will continue installing. And you'll also notice that it has opted to install the 64-bit version on my machine. And here it asks me whether it should start the Industrial HiVision services either at system start or starting them manually. For a test system or a laptop, I recommend starting these manually. If they were installed on a server where Industrial HiVision is ultimately going to run, I recommend that these automatically start at system start. So in my case, because I'm running it off of my laptop, I do want them to start manually, and it will prompt me during the start of Industrial HiVision whether I want to actually have them start at that time. So in this case, I just want to start Industrial HiVision. I don't necessarily want to see the release notes. And it asks whether I would like to start the services as they're not running. Yes, I do. And depending as to the processor speed that you may have, do be a little bit patient with this. It is still running in the background. It's starting to load all the bits and pieces. So what you'll see is you will see that this will come up with a notice that it is in its free 30-day trial period. You'll notice my days remaining are only 4. The reason for this is that I've had this installed previously, and I just deleted it for the purposes of doing this demo. And from here you then are presented with the setup wizard. The setup wizard comes up every time that you start a new project, and what this does is it will walk you through the various options. You can name your project. You can indicate a folder where you want all your devices to be stored and be represented. So in this case, we're just going to zip through this. This is actually an interesting tab right here because the software will automatically try to log into the switches utilizing these credentials. So this is the SNMP guest list. In case you're not aware, the admin password for our switches is private. And because Industrial HiVision is not just a visualization and a network management, but it's also a configuration tool, this will come in very handy. Obviously, you have the ability to delete these and or even create new ones. So if you ever change the password on the switches, you have the ability of doing so. In this case, we're going to leave it as is. And we're also going to dictate as to an IP scan range. So I have two cards in my laptop. I have a wireless card, which is the 192.168.99 address, and then I have a LAN card. This is the 10.10.10 network. Because we're going to connect to Industrial HiVision and the network with a cabled connection, I'm going to use the 10.10.10 network, and I'm going to have the option set to have the software automatically set the trap destinations on any discovered devices, or at least attempt to set the trap destination. A trap is a SNMP trap. This is the simple network management protocol. The SNMP trap is a push notification from a switch back to a NMS like Industrial HiVision. This way the software does not have to actively pull all of the switches. The switches instead will send a push notification to Industrial HiVision if and when there's ever an event. I will then also have it opt to save the configuration on any discovered devices. This way all of these changes are not going to reside in volatile memory, meaning that if I power cycle, or if they are power cycled for some reason, that they don't lose their configurations. This will give it a permanent save until the next time a change is made. It will then also automatically run an auto topology on any populated devices. So it will try to determine who its neighbors are and draw the physical links between them. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. And knowing that I only have a single device that's currently connected to it, I don't think that we are going to see a whole lot. So in this case, this 10.10.10.99 is actually my laptop. So this is the IP address of my Ethernet port. The reason that it is not finding the other switch that I currently have attached to the network is that this switch does not currently have an IP address. So from here, what I can do is I can use the high discovery scan, but before doing so, one of the things that I need to do is I need to go into my management station and I need to define the network card management station. So this is the default network card specifically utilized by the high discovery protocol. So I want to make sure that it is my 10.10.10.99 address, because this protocol definitely does not favor a wireless connection. So I'm going to select that. You'll also see here that my IP address prefix is the 10.10.10. Actually, the gateway I'm going to change to 0.0.0.0, simply because I don't have a gateway on this network. And any trap destinations that are automatically pushed to the switches is going to be my NIC card. So this is correct. I'm going to click on OK and apply. There. Now what I can do is I can now do a high discovery scan. And with the high discovery scan, it will find this switch that currently does not have an IP address. If there were multiple switches, if there were 5, 10, 50, 100, it would then find all of those other switches that currently don't have an IP address. So whether this switch has an IP address in the same subnet, a different one, or none at all, which is in this case, it will then find that switch. It'll also show which product it is. So this is one of our RSP switches. It's specifically an RSP35, so it has gigabit uplinks. It also has the added FPGA, which can do things like NATing. It can do DLR and some of the advanced industrial protocols. So seeing that we found it, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give it an IP address. So I've done a right click on this, and I'm going to go down to IP configuration, and I can click on the default values. These are the default values that were in back when I went into the preferences and you saw all those. So in this case, it allows me to very quickly address that device. And it will then rescan that device. And because it's now talking to it using SNMP, it's also able to look at its MIBs and assign a thumbnail to that is representative of this product. From here, I can also now hover over this device, and you'll see a slew of alarms, and these are all security warnings. These security warnings are all based upon best practices. So as an example, this high discovery protocol is still enabled. It's still in a read-write state. I'm currently running HTTP instead of HTTPS. The default password is still in place. I've not changed my password. I'm not running 802.1x. I am not running restricted management access. I'm currently utilizing SNMP version 1, version 2 instead of 3, and so on and so forth. So you'll see all of the alarms that are associated with this, and this too is why you'll see this showing up in yellow. So there are various ways that you can resolve this. One is you can go into the switch management and you can change all of these and address all of them, and once they're all addressed, this switch status will go from a yellow status to a green, indicating that there's been a changed state, and then once that's acknowledged, it will go into a clear background, very much like what my laptop here is represented by. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and again, this is not best practice, I'm just going to show how this can be tweaked. So I can monitor the security status, and again, I did this by selecting the security status, and because there's only one switch, there's only one line item right here, and I can select the configure monitoring. With this, I can deselect various security features that I don't want to monitor, and leaving the ones that I do want to monitor checked. Or in our case, just for demonstration purposes, and again not for best practice, I'm going to go ahead and deactivate all of them. So once I've done this, you'll notice that the switch is in green, meaning that there's been a change of state. It's gone from a warning back to a OK status. And I can now right click on this, and what I can do is I can go down and I can acknowledge its status change. And once I acknowledge its status change, it is shown in clear. From here, what I can do is I can then do an auto topology. With the auto topology, and I would want to make sure that I create a new topology to begin with. So I want to scan the entire network. I also have the ability of doing some deducing of unmanaged nodes. So if I have an unmanaged switch that's connected to this managed switch right here, what will happen is that the managed switch may report 2, 3, or more MAC addresses associated with a port. And the only way that that is possible is if there is an unmanaged switch connected to it, or between the managed switch and the reported devices. You also have the option of doing a manual or an automatic layout. I recommend doing an automatic for the first go, and then once you've situated where you want everything to be, you can then do a manual. I also have the ability of just doing the current folder or the recursive, which performs these actions on the current folder and all subfolders. So because I only have a single folder here and it's a very small network, these are going to be my options. So what the software's done is the software's interrogated this switch right here. The LLDP protocol is being utilized, and the switch reports back that on port 11 it has this device, which is my laptop, connected to it. From here I can also hover over the link. It also gives me some additional details indicating that it is a 100 megabit link. I can double click on this. It shows the bandwidth utilization in both directions. And I also have the ability of now adjusting this link so that the line the line which is representative of the cable actually is in the shape and the running of this as it truly is situated in a physical instance. So double clicking on these links eliminates them, and I also have the ability of creating a curve. Oops. If you just want to delete one, you can double click on the hollow and it gives you a very simple image. So we're going to dive deeper in the next presentation segment, but the next thing that I wanted to do here is show you where to register your software. So within the preferences, if you go to license, within the license screen you will see at the bottom a hardware key. For now, just leave this open as is. And from here, go back to the industrial HiVision portal, look one tab down and you'll see the license tab, and within the license tab you will see the option of registering the free of charge 16 node version. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Again, here it's going to ask you for your login credentials. If you again don't have them, please go ahead and register. And when we log in, you have the option of registering either a full license or the 16 node free of charge license. And again, the software is one and the same, so it's just the license that's different and unique. And with the free 16 node license, it's going to ask you for your license as to your name, or the license holder, and this is where it's going to ask you for your hardware key. And going back to Industrial HiVision, where we have our hardware key, I'm going to go ahead and do a Control-C for copy, and then I'm going to go back into the HiVision.de portal, and I'm going to do a Control-V to paste that license into here. I'm going to opt for keeping my software up to date, so it's going to send me any information about the Industrial HiVision AMP or annual maintenance program. And I'm going to go ahead and opt to receive any email communication regarding additional network management products. From here, I'm going to go ahead and enter my contact information. And the additional data pertaining to the OS that you're running is more for marketing purposes. So any information that you can offer is greatly appreciated. And an incoming email containing your license codes was sent to the email address that you had previously provided. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click on Finalize. And here I have my email that was just sent to me. It is my cost-free 60-node license. And the license itself, this here is the unlock key. So make sure that you capture all of it avoiding any spaces at the end. And here too, do a Control-C for copy. Once you've done that, go back to Industrial HiVision. Under License, click on New. Do Control-V under the license, New Entry, and click on OK. And you'll notice that the license key for this, for version 7.0.00, currently installed as the 03, is in place. This is for 16 nodes. You'll see this down here at the bottom. So there are two licenses that are currently in use. One is for my laptop, the other one is for the switch. So these are 2 nodes of the 16, and this software never expires. So from here, you simply click on OK, apply, and in the future, when you start up, you should not see that splash screen show up for as long, and you are free to use this as you would like for up to 16 nodes. So for additional features and capabilities of the software, do look for the next presentation on this, and thank you for watching.